Today we're here to celebrate the wonderful career of number 36. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Jim Kaat. Today, we'll look back at a man who played 25 seasons in the major leagues, 15 of them with the Twins and the Senators organization. We'll hear from teammates, fellow broadcasters whom he shared his love of baseball with over the past 8 decades. This will all culminate with the display of number 36 in left field, never to be worn again. To begin, we'd like to introduce you to members of Jim Kaat's family. Please welcome Jim's wife, Margie. Grandkids, Casey, Tanner, and Brendan. Son-in-law, Peter Candle and Stephanie. Stepson, Drew, with his wife, Lisa, and kids, Connor and Quinn. As well as many other friends and family here to share in Jim's special day. We also remember Jim's family members who are not here today. Jim's daughter, Jill, who passed away last year. Also unable to attend today is Jim's son, Jimmy. But Jimmy did offer up this tribute that you can see on the video board that states, "My dad deserves this day by how he performed on the baseball field and conducted himself on and off the field. He is truly deserving of his Hall of Fame induction. Thank you to the Minnesota Twins for making number 36 a lasting memory." The greatest honor a team can bestow upon a player is rewarding that player with the decree that no other player will wear your number. Jim Kaat will be the 10th Twins jersey number to be retired. Ladies and gentlemen, direct your attention to the left field line as we welcome 6 members of the retired number club. A former MVP, a 3-time batting champion, and 6-time All-Star. Well played, number 7. Please welcome Joe Mauer. Winningest manager in Twins history. He was at the helm for both World Series championships. Number 10, Tom Kelly. He struck out a Twins record 2,035 batters, and he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2011. Number 28, Bert Blyleven. He hit 293 home runs, second most in Twins history. Before that, he watched Jim Kaat in his hometown of Bloomington, Minnesota's own. Number 14, Kent Hrbek. This guy was so good they named the American League batting title after him. Over 3,000 hits and a member of baseball's Hall of Fame, number 29, Rod Carew. He won batting titles in his first 2 seasons and 3 overall. He finished with a .304 batting average. He'll be inducted into Cooperstown along with Jim in 8 days. Number 6, Tony Oliva. honored to have these greats with us today, and tonight we also remember those who are not. In 1997, Major League Baseball retired number 42 in honor of baseball legend Jackie Robinson. He debuted 75 years ago, and his legacy remains as important today as ever. We also pay tribute to two Hall of Fame retired numbers. Number 3, prodigious home run hitter Harmon Killebrew. And number 34, the World Series hero whose smile lit up a room, Kirby Puckett. We are honored and grateful to have Harmon's son, Ken Killebrew, as well as Kirby's children, Catherine and Kirby Puckett Jr., with us here today. Joining these legends today is someone who once quoted, "I'll never be considered one of the all-time greats, maybe not even one of the all-time goods, but I'm one of the all-time survivors." 3,000 innings pitched for the Twins and almost 5,000 in your career. Jim, you were one of the all-time survivors, but your quote was also incorrect, because starting today and throughout next week, you'll realize that you are considered one of the all-time greats.
Jim Kaat, 18 and 11, winning his left-hander in the American League.
As far as I'm concerned, Jim is the type pitcher that is not a thrower. He's a thinking pitcher. He's especially tough on a left-hander, but he's tough on a right-hander too.
Of course, you've got to have the big self-confidence in yourself to be able to get all your pitches over, as Jim Kaat puts out every time he goes out. The great thing about two guys like Perry and Kaat, they keep you in the ballgame.
Jim Kaat now knows how to pitch.
Strikeout number 3. Kaat now has retired 6 in a row.
Pitchers traditionally are not real good athletes, but Kaat could hit, he could pitch, he could field, he had 16 gold gloves.
Well, you know, it's almost unfathomable that someone could collect 16 gold gloves. I think we had a few people that, you know, are up there in those numbers. Brooks Robinson comes to mind. But it's just something that if you don't take pride in, you're not going to be recognized for it. And I think Jim took a lot of pride in being one of the best fielding pitchers in the game, which, you know, was reflected by the awards that he received.
Aronofsky winds up, and Kaat cracks the ball through the middle.
He wanted a bat. You wouldn't have a DH for Jim Kaat.
He could hit. They used him as a pinch hitter sometime, and he could run for a big guy. So he could do just about everything. I don't want to sound like a real homer here, but I don't see how they can leave him out of the Hall of Fame either.
Herb Carneal's words at the end proved prophetic. Jim's talent on the field is matched with his ability to share his knowledge of the game with the next generation of players. One such recipient of that advice is our first guest here this afternoon. Please welcome Twins Hall of Famer Michael Kaat.
Am I the only one who wants to have fun tonight? Is there anybody out there who wants to have a cold beer, kick it till the morning light?
Thank you. First, I'm going to start to say just how honored I am to be a part of this celebration. This is a special day, obviously, not only for Jim, but this entire organization. Jim was telling a story in there to some of the guys, how he was in instructional league when they were from the Washington Senators to then get announced to be the Minnesota Twins. So from day one, Jim Kaat's been a Minnesota Twin. So I am honored to be able to be a part of this celebration. You know, when I played, I always thought at this level of the big leagues that we had it backwards. I always felt like pitching coaches should be the hitting coach. The hitting coaches should be the pitching coach. So in 2009, 2010 spring training, Jim actually came to speak to our pitchers. So I asked Gardy, I said, Gardy, you know, I mean, I don't know when the next time I'm going to be able to hear somebody of Jim Kaat's caliber and pedigree speak. Do you mind if I not go out there for batting practice and just listen to Jim's talk to our pitchers? Obviously, he obliged, and I'll be honest with you, that 45-minute speech was the best hitting clinic that I ever got. He didn't disappoint. He talked about throwing change-ups, fastballs in, establishing the fastball. But what really got interesting to me was when he started talking about his quick pitch and how the quick pitch was developed. And if any of you guys remember Jim, he would go through the full windup, then all of a sudden he would sneak in a quick pitch in with it. And he started talking about why that happened. And he started talking about how back in their times, they were expected to finish the game. You're going to go 7, 8, 9 innings. It's just guaranteed. So he started figuring out how he's going to get through the lineup for the third time, the fourth time, sometimes the fifth time. So he started developing that quick pitch. And it kind of gave me a little bit of an insight for the rest of my career, yes, about if I'm facing a pitcher the third or fourth time, what that pitcher was now going to try and do to try and reinvent himself. But now that I'm retired and the rest of my life has gone by, I realize just how wise those words are. Because we're all having to reinvent ourselves in the next innings of life. And nobody's been more of a shining example of that than Jim Kaat. Not only throughout his baseball career, being a starting pitcher, relief pitcher, but then after in his next inning of life, being a broadcaster, teaching, coaching. And now he's finally at this point right here where he can come in and be his closer. So I'm so proud and I'm so happy that you're able to come in and close this chapter of your baseball life on this day to have your number retired and immortal up in those rafters, and then in 8 days be in baseball immortality. Congratulations. I wish you nothing but the best. And again, I'm so honored to be a part of this.
Thank you, Michael. Jim, after 8 decades in the game, you've made some great friendships across the game of baseball. Direct your attention now to the video board as we hear from one of your broadcast partners with his perspective of your career.
Hi, it's Bob Costas. I've been Jim Kaat's friend for 40 years and his broadcast partner on the Major League Baseball Network for more than a decade. Let's start with some basic information. A 25-year Major League career that spanned parts of 4 decades, from the late 50s to the early 80s. 283 lifetime victories. 3 20-victory seasons, topped by 25 wins in 1966. 180 complete games, 31 of them shutouts. And, of course, 16 Gold Glove awards. Those are the basic facts of a Hall of Fame career. But it was more than those mere facts, impressive as they are, that led Jim Kaat to Cooperstown and led the Twins to retire his number today. Yes, Kitty was a very accomplished and remarkably durable pitcher. But beyond that, he has been and remains one of the great citizens of the game. Since 1959 and to the present day, there has not been a single season when Jim Kaat was not actively involved in Major League Baseball. as a player, then as a coach, and for a very long time now, as one of the game's most genial, insightful, and respected broadcasters. For over 60 consecutive years, Jim has been one of the best representatives of the game. It's that combination of on-field excellence and ongoing dedication and service to baseball that fills out his Hall of Fame resume and certifies him as a Twins immortal. Having had the good fortune to share the broadcast booth with Jim Kaat, I can attest he is as good an on-air partner as he must have been a teammate. A pleasure to work with, and as is the essential trait of a good teammate, concerned with everyone's success, not just his own. His wealth of knowledge and firsthand experience is incredible. Jim spans so much baseball history and is connected in one way or another to so many of the game's bold-faced names. I mean, here's a guy who faced Hall of Famers Ted Williams, whose career began in 1939, and Paul Molitor, who played until 1998. You know that trivia game, 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where supposedly you can connect anyone in the movie business to Kevin Bacon in no more than 6 moves and usually less? Well, over the years, I've often kidded Kitty that you could connect him to Abner Doubleday and the birth of baseball in 6 moves or maybe less. Now, that might be an exaggeration, although not by much. So let's try this. Connie Mack managed the Philadelphia A's from 1901 to 1950. Toward the end of that half-century run, he had a young infielder named Nellie Fox, who by 1959 was the White Sox second baseman and the American League's MVP. 59 was Jim's rookie year, and in the ensuing seasons, he faced Fox many times. As Jim was winding down in the 80s, Julio Franco was breaking in. All he did was play in the big leagues until 2007, when he was 49. Before he was done, he stood in the box against a young Adam Wainwright, who is still pitching for the Cardinals. So there you have it. Connie Mack to Nellie Fox, to Julio Franco, to Adam Wainwright. And we've connected Jim Kaat to the entire modern history of baseball, more than 120 years in just 4 moves. Just one of the many interesting aspects of a unique baseball life. So today represents another chapter in this Hall of Fame year for a Hall of Fame person. Congratulations, Jim.
Thank you, Bob. Our next speaker was a teammate of Jim's from 1970 to 1973, and like Jim, had a second career in the broadcast booth. Please welcome Mr. Burt Blyleven.
Thank you, Big Dick. Got it in. We're all excited today, Jim, to be here and celebrate with your family, your friends, and having your number 36 retired by the Minnesota Twins organization. We're also very excited, and finally, you, Antonio Oliva, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame next weekend. Both of your career numbers speak for themselves in being Hall of Famers. On a personal note, Jim, I came up at the age of 19 when I joined the Minnesota Twins in 1970. You took me in like a younger brother, and I have never forgotten that. Maybe it's because we're both Dutch. There's another Dutchman now on that board, and I congratulate for that. Also, I think Bob Costas already went into your broadcasting career. You're number 1 in my book. So, Kitty, on behalf of everybody here and some of the guys that are not here, like Harmon Killebrew, number 3, Rod Carew, number 29, Ken Herbeck, number 14, Kirby Puckett, number 34, Tom Kelly, number 10, Joe Mauer, number 7, and of course, Tony Oliva, number 6. Welcome aboard, Jim Kaat, to the board. Come on up, Jimmy.
Thank you. You know, I'm at moments like this, I'm always reminded of our crusty old trainer we had when I was pitching for the White Sox. And I'd have a good game, there'd be a few writers coming in. Charlie would poke his head through and say, "Hey, Kaat, if you're that good, how come Minnesota got rid of you?" But today, the first 2 words that come to mind are God's grace. These things don't happen by accident. There's a lot of divine intervention, in my opinion. I want to thank specifically Dave St. Peter, the president of the Twins, and the Polad family, who have really made this day possible. I thank them so much. And there's a lady that does so much work behind the scenes, and I want to introduce her as the most valuable player of today, Julie Vavruska. Where are you, Julie? She's probably hiding somewhere. But I just want to say a few words about the significance of those numbers. I'll start with 42, because Jackie Robinson paved the way for me to have a couple great teammates like Earl Batty and Mudcat Grant. And they helped get us to the World Series. When I think of 3, 6, and 29, I'm not standing here without those guys. And then as an announcer, I got to see TK, who has as high a baseball IQ as there is, and I hope someday gets in the Hall of Fame. And Herbie and Kirby, 2 World Series that I was able to witness. I think for 5 or 6 years, I never saw anybody play first base better than Herbie. And of course, Bert. When Bert Blyleven, as he said, came up at age 19, and I saw him pitch and win his first game, it wasn't hard for me to say, this kid's going to be a star. And if I'm able to stay alive for 2 more years, I'm going to be in Cooperstown to see the induction of Joe Nathan. I want to mention one more Joe that is here today. And a lot of people don't realize that Joe Nathan has the highest percentage of saves in Major League history. He also wore number 36. And I know you younger fans probably relate more to him than to me, and I don't blame you. But I hope someday that this other 36 gets his due recognition. Thank you.
And Jim, we have some gifts for you to help commemorate this very special day. First, Jim Kaat pitched 3 seasons with the White Sox and compiled a 45-18 record with a 2.77 ERA in 80 games at Old Comiskey Park. Only Met Stadium saw more innings from Jim Kaat. Please welcome White Sox TV analyst and Jim's 1973 teammate with the White Sox, Steve Stone. The White Sox organization is proud to give Jim a refurbished chair from old Comiskey Park and congratulate Jim on his jersey retirement and upcoming induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Wow, that's awesome. Neuroendocrine cancers, which took the life of Jim's daughter, Jill. Please welcome Twins President and CEO Dave St. Peter and President of Baseball Operations Derek Falvey as they present a check for $10,000 to NETRF to further their research. Next up, please welcome Twins Executive Vice President Joe Polad as he unveils a custom-made Waterford Crystal number 36 insignia. This spectacular 20-pound piece took 6 craftsmen and 66 hours to produce. Twins number 36 obviously has had some good success built into that number. And while no one will ever wear that number again, we feel it only right that you own the final authentic Twins number 36 jersey. And who better to unveil this gift than a pair of former number 36s who also had some pretty good years with that number. Please welcome Terry Steinbach and Joe Nathan. Jim, we know you're an avid golfer, and I'm sure you'll continue to have plenty of golf outings, so we thought we should get you some new clubs. We got a full set of custom-fit PXG Gen 5 golf clubs from PXG Minneapolis, located at Southdale Center, where, Jim, you'll be professionally fit for your new clubs and experience a master class in performance, style, and forgiveness. Please welcome Twins manager Rocco Baldelli and center fielder Byron Buxton as they present it to you. The only question is whether he wants right-handed clubs or left-handed clubs. A natural left-hander, and I still can't believe this, he actually shot his age, both left-handed and right-handed, at the age of 75. Thank you, PXG, and may you continue to hit the ball long and straight. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. Located up at the retired number facade by the left field foul pole. Please welcome Jim's grandkids, Casey, Tanner, and Brendan, as they will soon unveil their grandpa's number for all time. Please, Margie, if you would, join Jim here at the mound, and everyone, direct your attention to the left field balcony. stand forever as a testament to what that number accomplished. To properly wrap up today's ceremony, we invite Jim to throw out a ceremonial first pitch. Now, every pitcher will tell you that his catcher is a vital part of any pitcher's success. Please welcome catcher Phil Roof, who caught Jim from 1971 to 1973 as he delivers the ceremonial first pitch baseball. And heading to home plate is another one of Jim's catchers, George Mitterwald, who caught for the Twins from 1966 to 1973. Receive the highest honor of the Twins organization. Next week, you'll receive baseball's highest honor, entering the Baseball Hall of Fame. You will forever be considered one of the all-time greats. A memorable day in Twins territory now. It's time for two of Jim's former teams to face off. It's the Twins and the White Sox. Coming up next.